Hello everyone. So this is the first video and the first story of our Robin Hood collection of stories. Okay, so the first story is called Robin of Locksley, and it is really an introduction to the character of Robin Hood before he is Robin Hood. He is still Robin of Locksley. So when you talk about names back then, Robin of Locksley meant that his name was Robin and he was from an area called Locksley. Right? So it's Robin from Locksley, and that's the way that they would deal with knowing who was whom, because a lot of people had the same names and the same last name, same surnames. So you would say your town rather than your full name. So like I said, this is an introduction to the character. It's going to focus a lot on setup, so setting and characterization, right? So it's going to set up the character of Robin, and it is going to set the setting for what we're going to see in the next couple stories. All right. So I did upload this PDF for you if you want to follow. Otherwise, as always, you can just listen to the video. Robin Hood was born in the small town of Locksley in Nottinghamshire. Locksley's buildings were made of wood, and it was smoky and dirty, like many other towns in England. Robin's father owned a small farm, which didn't have very much land, and life was sometimes very hard. The family hadn't always been poor. Robin's grandfather had been a knight, and he had owned a lot of land around Locksley. But then the sheriff of Nottingham had taken the land because Robin's grandfather could not afford to pay the sheriff's high taxes. Robin worked on his father's farm every day. He had grown up to be tall and strong. He was fair-haired and very handsome. Robin liked to practice archery on his father's farm and had become a very good archer. Many people came to watch Robin shooting his longbow. One of these people was the daughter of a local knight. Her name was Maid Marian. Marian had long blonde hair and she was very beautiful. Robin and Marian often looked at each other. Then they began to meet secretly, and slowly they fell in love. At this time, the king needed archers for his army. He had ordered all the strong young men of England to practice archery. Every year there were special archery contests in England. In the small towns, the prizes were of meat and drink. In large towns, the best archers won prize money. One of the best archery contests was held in Nottingham. Every year, the sheriff of Nottingham gave the winning archer a prize from the king. The prize was 100 golden crowns. It was a lot of money. Archers came from all over England to compete in the contest. When Robin reached his 18th birthday, he decided to speak to his father about the contest in Nottingham. "Father, please let me go to Nottingham," Robin said. "I am old enough to enter the contest, and I am the best archer in Locksley. I can hit a target at 500 paces. Let me compete with the archers in Nottingham. I'm sure that I can win." His father was silent for a moment. Then he replied, "You are a very good archer, my boy. But the king and the sheriff want archers for their wars. Don't go, Robin. Stay in Locksley and be a farmer. It's not a bad life." "I want to see the world," said Robin. "I have never been to Nottingham, and I may win 100 golden crowns. With that money, we can buy more land, and then I can ask Marian to marry me." "You may win the contest," replied Robin's father, "but Marian's family won't let you marry her. They want their daughter to marry a knight, not a farmer." "But your father was a knight," said Robin. "He owned land at Huntingdon and around Locksley." "That was over 20 years ago," said his father. "The sheriff took most of our land when my father could not pay his taxes. Now we are poor, and no one can take any more from us." "We are poor, but honest," replied Robin. I am sure that Marian will marry me for love. Do not talk of love and honesty, said his father angrily. There is no love or honesty in England. The rich become richer while the poor become poorer. The rich make the laws and the poor pay taxes. But Robin was determined to go to the contest. Father, I must go to Nottingham, Robin said. I am sure that I will win the sheriff's money. Perhaps Marian will not marry me, but at least we will not be poor any more. Then go, replied his father. You have seen little of the world, and I pray that you return safely. Go with God, and may he protect you. But go straight there and come straight back again. Do not stop on the way. And that is our first chapter and our introduction story to Robin Hood. It is the story of Robin of Locksley. And like I said, we're going to focus on the characterization of Robin and the setting. Okay, so that's what most of your questions are going to focus on. You're going to go back to find evidence in this video or in the text to find an answer to those questions. So remember, characterization is a character's personality traits. And we always kind of talk in class about first impressions, right? So we're going to talk about our first impressions of Robin because that is really the important part of the setup of a first chapter. And then there was a lot of talk about the setup of the way that these people live, right? So Robin's family own a farm. They say it's a small farm, and they used to own a really big farm. His grandfather used to be a knight, and they make a lot of references to the land was taken away because they could not pay their taxes. Now, we've talked about kind of things like that. We've talked about inequalities and things like that in class before, and I know that you've talked about taxes in your personal finance class, in your accounting classes. So when we talk about them not paying their taxes, we're not talking about somebody who chose not to pay their taxes. We're talking about somebody who was purposely taxed at such a point that they could not pay it, purposely so that the English government could take their farms away. Okay, so it's like if I said to you, you owe me $1 million, and if you don't give me $1 million, and I can take your house, right? Your house is not worth $1 million, and I know you don't have $1 million. I'm really just making it that big so that you can't do it, so that you have to give me the house. Okay, so that was going on in England at the time. And that is why his father makes those comments about the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. So after watching this video, go and take your quiz, and I will do another story with you guys soon.